Hey, whole lifers. Today we're talking about how to get everything you want out of life, and you just need to know how to get there. You can get everything you want out of life as long as you know how to get it, and that's the real challenge. So this video is a framework of the steps that it takes to get what you want out of life. So the first step of getting what you want out of life is actually knowing what you want. Which for a lot of people, we have mostly a general idea of what we want, but we haven't got into the deeper specifics of what it is that we're looking to get. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about it on a deep personal, emotional life level, but also the external things, houses, cars, money, clothes, whatever it is. In both categories, we need to figure out what it is that we actually want. It's just like if you were trying to get somewhere, you're not just going to leave the house and wander around, which in some cases that's what we're doing. But if there's a place that we want to get, we need to actually know where we're getting to and not just the general location. If your desire was to come to my house, it wouldn't be enough to know, oh, I just need to get to Washington State. I want to go to Washington, and I know Tommy lives there. It's not even enough, I want to live in Tacoma. You need to know my address and my streets, which I'm not going to tell you, but that's the same idea with these other things. So if you can start to understand specifically what you want in life, then you can start building the roadmap to get there. But if you don't know exactly what you want, then you're never really going to get there, or you might get somewhere close haphazardly, but we want to get more specific so we can envision and set our sights on what we're going after. Then the second thing, once we know where we're going and what we want, we need to start to internally believe that we deserve it and that it's possible for us to get it. I've heard so many times that things are too expensive or that's unrealistic, and all these doubts about the things that we want, the dreams that we have, the goals. But really, if one person is capable of doing it, then it's possible for you. And that's a very important concept. And even in some instances, when someone wasn't able to do it, that still doesn't mean that you're not able to do it. There's always a first in life, whether it's being the most influential person on social media, being the richest person in the world, or saving the most sea turtles in the ocean. There's always got to be a first, and it's really a mindset to shift to it is possible for us. I guarantee you that you can think of a time when you did something that you didn't think that you could. And that shows us that what we think in our minds isn't actually the truth. And the biggest effect that this has, a lot of times we don't attain it because we never even tried. We already convinced ourselves that we weren't able to do it, and so we don't even try. And that's why it doesn't happen. So we need to shift our mindset into this is possible, no matter what it is. And then we keep affirming that to ourselves. This process allows us to truly believe that we're worthy of whatever our goals are. And what we're also aiming to do is believe that we already have it. We want to start thinking that this goal is inevitable. We are going to be that person. We are going to have that thing. That's just who we are. And that's just what our life plan has in store for us. So the next thing that prevents most people from achieving their goals is lack of planning and neglect. It's not enough to just say, oh, I want this thing someday, or I'm going to be this way someday. Because what that does is it just puts it on the shelf. It puts it away in the back of our minds, and we never actually look at it. So to change that, we need to actually put it into reality, bring it into time, put it on your calendar. When is this thing going to happen? If you can put it on your calendar or put it on your goal list, that starts to tell you that this is coming. And then when we do that, we can start taking steps towards that goal. When it's on the list or on the calendar, we see it, it reminds us, and we continue working towards that. more than if we just said, oh, I just want this someday. We're actually planning for it to happen, and it's bringing it into our reality. Like the saying goes, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And that leads us to our next part, is when we can start to plan it out, bring it into reality, solidify it in our future, then we can start figuring out the step-by-step process that we need to take to get there. And that's the research phase. And that comes in breaking it down into smaller, more attainable pieces. And also, if it's a complicated goal or a large goal, then we can start researching what are the people that have achieved this doing to get there. With all of the internet resources at your disposal, there are millions of people sharing their stories and teaching others how to get there. So we start to research what it takes to actually get there. And that research helps us create the steps for us to get there. And it can change our mindset, because if we have really ambitious goals in life, we need to start seeing the people that are doing things similar to what we want to be doing and seeing how they think about problems. Because sometimes we have to take a completely new perspective to get to where we want to grow. Because sometimes we need to take a completely new perspective to get to where we want to go. And then the last thing is an affirmation of every step in this process, basically repeating, reaffirming everything that we just did. And that's really to project what our dreams and what our goals are, because there's a lot of power in saying and planning for what we want to obtain and what we want to achieve. And usually we start out on an internal, personal level, but when we can start to exude this and project that outside of us, it starts to become even more real. And each one of these steps makes our dreams and our goals that much more real. So to recap, to get everything you want out of life, we have clarity, we have belief, we have planning, we have research, we have projection. If you want, I'd love to see some of your goals, hopes, and dreams in the comments. Hopefully that makes it a little bit more real for you and brings it into reality. And if you want to learn more about getting everything you want out of life, then hit the subscribe notification button. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the other videos.